What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Mitsubishi FTO GP version R. This is definitely going to be a very rare car for that matter, and if you guys might have been wondering, by the way, I will also be doing the Nebula edition that's also in the Motor Pass, so definitely stay tuned for that car coming very soon as well. But if you guys actually want to buy this vehicle, you're going to be around $280,000 into the pit, which is honestly not all that bad because it's basically a new street car to add to the collection. There isn't going to be that many official colors for this vehicle, but if you would like to, you can also add some of the colors that are in the game as well, like standard, indoor metallic, and stuff like that. We're also going to have some liveries, but I would say the biggest thing about the Mitsubishi is this car comes with a ton of customization. So jumping right into this, guys, starting off with the hoods, we are going to go full carbon fiber on that one there. Then we're going to have whatever that vent looks like. I'm not really digging that one all that much. Then we'll have like the carbon, and then the front of that's going to be white instead. And or the color of the vehicle. Then we have that vent. Doesn't look too bad on there, I guess. Then we're going to have the carbon fiber version of that one. Then we have that vent. And then finally this one. It's funny because I just realized this car is actually right-hand drive, so that's going to be very cool as well. Moving over to the front bumpers. Not digging that. I'm kind of hoping one of these are like an intercooler or something like that, but they also don't look kind of ridiculous. I don't really want like a big splitter and like crazy canyons on it, even though this is technically a race car, so there's the big splitter on the bottom. I don't think that's carbon fiber, is it? I don't believe that is. Moving over to that, it changed the headlights. That one as well. And then there's a bigger splitter. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really digging any of these bumpers right now. So there's the intercooler with the crazy canyons and the front splitter as well. At least it's carbon fiber, but that's honestly just not going to fit this car for me all that much. So moving over to the front fenders now. So you guys will notice there is a wide body kit available for this car as well. So if you don't actually have the motor pass, you could probably customize this vehicle and get it kind of close to that one if you would like to. I'm personally probably going to leave the body kit off, even though I have to admit though, the body kit does not look all that bad on this thing. Then moving over to the rims here. So for this, there's only one rim you can actually put on the car, and then you're only going to have the option of the other rims on the Crew 2, which I would almost guess a lot of people are not going to like because, well, many of the rims on the Crew 2 are definitely not going to look all that good, but luckily I think I found one of the best looking rims for this car is this one right here. To be honest, guys, I think I speak for everybody when I say most of the rims in this game definitely need to be updated, my goodness. But moving over, we're also going to have the caliper colors of the vehicle, so for this I'm actually going to go red. And now moving over to the mirrors, these are going to be the stock ones. Then we'll have the carbon fiber. Those look kind of nice on there. Then we'll have the ones that are actually on the Pontiac Firebird as well. Then we have these weird looking ones. Moving over to these skirts now. So the first one is going to, my goodness, look how much that sticks out the side of the car. That is, I don't think anybody's actually going to like that. Carbon fiber doesn't look too bad though. Moving over to the rear fenders now. So the back end of the car does come out a bit. I have to admit though, the wide body on this vehicle does look really nice, and I would actually put this one on my car compared to the one that's on the Pontiac. And then moving over to the rear wings now, so there's the second one, basically makes it black. I kind of like that one. Let's put that on there. And now moving over to the third option is going to be a carbon fiber trunk. Then here's the next wing. That one looks kind of nice. Then we'll have that actually doesn't look awful. I still would say, see, that is way too big. I can kind of smell some rice now. Not really digging that one all that much. Moving over to the rear bumpers now, though. So the second one blacks out the taillights. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that one. The exhaust is huge, but let's go with that. Blacks out taillights, does all that. Then we have the, oh my, look at that one. Look how big those exhausts are. That is, that's probably so loud. Probably like as loud as a Civic at 3 a.m., like legit. Probably going to be one of my favorite looking bumpers so far. Let's throw that on there. Blacked out taillights again. Then we have what in the world? Yeah, I don't really like that too much. The way the exhaust is facing the ground honestly looks kind of funny, but besides that, guys, we're only going to have the blacked out taillights once again. And then finally, moving over to the interior of the vehicle. I was originally going to leave the interior basically stock, but I was like, you know what, let's actually make this red because it probably will look pretty good, and it turns out it actually does. So that will basically do it for the customization of the FTO. Now, one thing I do want to mention, by the way, guys, is if you actually do want to customize this vehicle, I would almost bet on it that you can actually customize the Nebula Edition, which if I had to guess, I would say that's probably not going to be all that shocking to many players because normally you can't actually customize the Motor Pass vehicles. But anyway, guys, besides all that, let's go do a quick outside look of the version R right now. Then I definitely want to do a quick top speed test because I really do want to know what this car can actually get to. Sometimes some of these smaller vehicles seem to be insanely quick and also really good, so I'm definitely interested to see how this car might compare to some of the better street cars in the game. We also have to jump into one of the street events to really test out its overall performance. So now arriving outside here with the Mitsubishi FTO, so I have to admit guys, I would say these might be the best looking rims in the entire game, honestly. I mean, they really do look good. The overall look of this vehicle, once you do customize it, I do think it looks a lot better than before. I mean, to be honest, this car is obviously a classic, and not only that, it's going to be right-hand drive, which I will show the interior view of this thing here in a second, but let's take a listen to that engine. And now moving over to the interior view of the version R here, so I have to admit this thing is definitely pretty cool looking, and I'm not gonna lie, I've never actually drove a right-hand drive vehicle before, so I would imagine it's going to be pretty different than actually being on the left side, because it's kind of switched. But not only that, we're going to have the dashes in the middle there, which I noticed the RPM thing does move, which normally with most of the vehicles they tend to do that. Then also the odometer thing will move as well. And then one thing I was also noticing was the clock that's in the middle of the car there. It looks like it actually is moving, which is pretty cool. And then the other dial is going to be the battery voltage, which that obviously probably shouldn't be moving all that much. But besides that though, I would say the overall look of this interior does look pretty awesome. And with it being a right-hand drive vehicle, I would say it might actually be pretty dang fun to use this vehicle in the cockpit view. But now besides all that, let's go see what the top speed of the FTO actually is. So one thing I find really funny about some of the cars in the Crew 2 is sometimes the cars that you don't actually expect to be really fast normally are. For example, the Firebird TA actually did 245 miles an hour. I'm also interested to see if the one in the Motor Pass is going to be quicker, but let's see what this vehicle can get to. So the FTO is also going to be a 5-speed, so anyone running manual, be ready for this car to be a little bit weird to use, but let's see. Oh my. 259 miles an hour? That is actually kind of insane. So 259, I'm going to do another run over here after this turn. It's actually kind of funny how some of the cars you would never expect to be fast sometimes are going to be the fastest ones. It turns out they made the Mitsubishi FTO to be really quick. So let's do another run over here. I actually want to see if I can push it past 259. So let's do it right now. Hitting all the nitrous here. 262 miles an hour is going to be maxed out on this vehicle, guys. I mean, that's honestly insane. That's actually almost the exact same top speed as the Superleggera, so it looks like we're going to have another car in the game that can do over 260. And not only that, I'm really interested to see how this car is going to handle, because we might have one of the new best cars in the game overall. One of the only flaws about this thing, though, might be that 5-speed. So now jumping right into the street race test here with the Mitsubishi FTO. So I'm not going to lie, that top speed is definitely going to be something to keep in mind, guys. I mean, a high top speed like that on some of the street cars is pretty impressive, but I do believe one of the fastest street cars in the game with the top speed is indeed the Lamborghini Superleggera. So it looks like this car is going to be exactly the same as that one. I do find that to be pretty interesting, but one of the only unfortunate things I did find out about this vehicle is, well, after driving it for a bit, I'm going to have to say this, the handling of this car is not going to be that good, which makes me interested in the Nebula Edition. I wonder if that car is going to be a little bit better, but as I did mention, I'm not going to lie, the handling of this car is definitely not going to be all that great. I mean, the car definitely gets a little slidey. It's kind of weird to drive a little bit at higher speeds as well. It kind of feels a bit unstable, which I guess you can kind of expect that with something like this, but I kind of wonder if Ubisoft makes some of the cars' top speeds kind of random and or, just puts the speed on some of them to make some cars quicker. Because, for example, we have like the Chevrolet 3100 that does like 252 miles an hour. Then we have something like the Infiniti Q60 that does like 237. So it's kind of funny how they actually figure that out. But then again, that's probably a way to actually nerf some of the vehicles because some cars have better handling with a lower top speed and vice versa. So I guess that does kind of make sense. But for the most part, I would say the Mitsubishi is not a bad vehicle. I would just not really take this thing on many of the events personally. I do kind of like this car a bit though. It's definitely very unique and pretty cool to drive. It's just not going to be the best thing to actually race competitively in the game like summits and all that, which if I had to guess, I would say a lot of players are probably going to be cruising around in a car like this and or maybe farming races and stuff and not actually going toward like summit scores. That's definitely something to keep in mind. And for any of my manual drivers out there as well, this is going to be a 5-speed on the Crew 2, so do keep that in mind. But I have noticed, though, from driving this car a little bit, it doesn't actually seem to be that bad compared to some of the other ones I have used. I have noticed some of the vehicles that are 5 and or 4 speeds are kind of a nightmare, but I'm not going to lie, though, this one really isn't all that bad. It kind of seems a little bit decent. I mean, obviously getting in the right gear around turns is going to take some practice with it, but I would say most of the cars in the Crew 2 are probably going to be the same way. Overall, guys, would I actually buy this vehicle? To be honest, if you wanted something for like a collection type of purposes or something like that, then I would definitely recommend picking this vehicle up. But would I buy this vehicle for summits and or competitive racing? I would have to say that's going to be a no.